Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Deadman JB, Jeremy and B, Dear Testament the building, or whatever I call myself. Anyways, if you guys are new to the channel, be sure to consider subscribing. If you're a fan of gaming, and especially if you're a fan of Star Wars, we cover most interesting topics where I give my takes that you might not hear from other people and offer a ton of discussion you won't hear from anywhere else. Anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video, y'all. Take care. Peace. Big news, EA has been bought by 3 private companies. I'm going to call them SAS. The deal has been approved. We still have to wait for estimated the 3rd quarter of 2027. So that means there's a lot of time between. At least what I'm looking at, there has to be regulators reviews, meaning the government has to review over and make sure that there's no antitrust or monopoly or anything like that going on. Especially for $55 million, that's going to require some looking into, require a shareholding vote and apparently financing. I'm not sure the whole thing, but all of that is going to have to be going into this deal. So you guys can tell that by the title, I don't think this is the last of EA and it being bought out. I think for sure it's gonna be bought out, not by the SAS, it'll be by Disney. To give a rundown of EA's importance to Disney, first let's look at the 3 games Marvel and EA currently have together. The first one being Iron Man. The second one was supposed to be a Black Panther game, but I'm assuming it was because of the unfortunate sudden death of Chadwick Boseman. But many people speculate those other 2 games to be are either a Marvel Fantastic Four, Marvel Doctor Strange, Marvel Hulk video game. For my belief, I believe that they're probably going to do a Marvel Fantastic Four, as we have Jedi Fallen Order, Star Wars Battlefront, and the Old Republic. That is going to be the main one, which you're going to got it of why that's the key, at least for the Star Wars fandom. Now, the real reason I think Disney is going to acquire EA is because of Star Wars, and Disney really has no option but to offer a counter offer, because the future of Star Wars could be held in the balance of these 3 titles, most notably the latter when it comes to these 3 games, because when it comes to story making, it's really the only option they have. Now, the other 2 don't have as big of an impact, except when it comes to Battlefront, because the momentum and the cultural impact that Battlefront has in the gaming community is kind of just unmatched. Battlefront is definitely an ongoing series that definitely can make a profit, and it's also an IP that would be perfect for Disney to have. The real reason I think that Disney will have to acquire a counteroffer to when it comes to Star Wars: The Old Republic is because they've shot themselves in the foot to the point they don't have any other options in the timeline to choose from besides stretching out the story of The Mandalorian, which is ironic because at first they thought they could do whatever they wanted within the Star Wars universe, meaning they could destroy it or even force their own creative magic, and still thought somehow they'd be able to make a profit. Now they finally realized to really make a profit, they must work with the proper Star Wars sources and stay true to the universe and its already existing timeline, which could make them billions if they made proper live actions for these timelines. So they cannot forget about the Old Republic series or change it or get rid of it, because we've seen them try to do this countless times throughout the Star Wars series with the extended universe, the EU, with the original trilogy characters, and with their own ongoing characters with the sequels.
Right. Where's Ray? Right. Just here to get Ray and to try to find Ray to try. Right.
And the Acolyte, trying to change the course of Star Wars history or the characters, always ends up leaving a dent in the Star Wars fan base or the fandom. Not even their inability to even bring in new people into the fandom, just because of how poorly treated the Star Wars universe as of a whole, where people don't even feel like getting into the universe. This is their only real last chance of staying true to the Star Wars universe. And it's not even a part of the universe that's anywhat correlated to George Lucas, which is why I don't know if I said it earlier in the video, compared to a lot of the older fan base, which is just hardcore true to George Lucas, us new geners are actually open to the idea of a Star Wars that doesn't really have George Lucas's vision in mind in towards of what Star Wars was all about, at least the true story, where there wasn't no true Sith order before Darth Bane and the Order of Two and things like that. In his I'm pretty sure in his like universe headcanon, well, not headcanon, the headcanon, which is canon, the Sith were just rampant, just like almost, I wouldn't say savages, but rampant without a mind of their own before Darth Bane came into being place. And that's just nothing what the Old Republic is like, and it's fine. That is what us newer Star Wars fans, and even older ones, there's some older ones, but ones that aren't as attached to George Lucas's story in mind, are okay with, as long as they keep the identity Goat himself, George Lucas, set out, as long as they stay true to how he shows how a Jedi and how a Sith, you know, give or take, there's some different unique characters throughout the place. For the most part, how they display the truth or the realistic view of what a Jedi is, a Sith is, characters or different species in the universes are like, as long as they stay true to personalities, stay authentic to what Star Wars is about, which the only way they can really do that and get the fans' trust and support back is by using some of the old story that's already been established way before their time. This would mean they would have to get rid of Darth Malgus, they would have to get rid of Valkorion, they would have to get rid of Bastila Shan, Darth Mar, Thexan, Arkin, Valen, basically the whole Valkorian family. They would have to get rid of the Galactic Commander, which many people have very deep attachment to, as it is their character. The attachments they made with Revan along the way, Malik Sunak, or I forgot her name, the one who is the main protagonist for KOTOR 2. So they would be losing all of the core characters that make the Old Republic, and which really, on top of that, losing a big opportunity to make their own almost type of end game in the Star Wars universe. They legit have a gold mine in the making with the Old Republic, with many different characters from many different species, different sets of factions, and whatever may have, which is honestly exactly what something Disney wants, something where they can bring different cores of the audience together. And that's something they do not want to risk being bought by 3 separate companies. It is something they can't afford to give up without at least a counteroffer. If 2 people can sustain and make a unified story that they can both agree upon, damn sure 3 companies can't. We saw the complete incoherent, uncoordinated mess that came with The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, then to The Rise of Skywalker. The 7th and 9th episode were made by J.J. Abrams, with The Last Jedi being made by Rian Johnson. These 2 were not on the same page. So if 2 people couldn't even come together to make a coherent universe, there was just so much uncertainty with 3 whole individual companies. And it's not even like they're gaming companies. These are public funded companies, banking companies. These are things that have nothing to do with gaming. That is a scary territory for Disney to be a part of. That it is required, almost guaranteed, that we're going to see at least one counteroffer by someone like Disney. Disney has no gaming presence. Like there is no studios have made that is noteworthy towards many people in the gaming space. It almost makes perfect sense with a company that has many of their famous IPs, games attached to them. It would only make sense that Disney would make a counteroffer with a company that has games that they have the license towards. It is almost like the most obvious decision for Disney to buy out Electronic Arts, or at the very minimum, make a counteroffer. Especially in the day and age we're living in right now, nostalgic trip of Disney will die out if there's no incentive for their parents or the kids for wanting to go to Disney. Because if nothing that interests the kid is at Disney, why would the parent or the kid make the want to go to Disneyland? All of the new trends for kids nowadays have nothing correlated to Disney. Even most notably, its competitors are catching up. Sony decision to make the Miles Morales Spider-Man's on top of this famous K-pop Demon Hunter movie coming out. Sony is being seen making big moves, not only in its media, but also it has its own console. Then we look at Microsoft acquiring Activision, plus their own operating system and Xbox, on top of even having their own social media platform, LinkedIn. While it's not like a traditional one, it is still a well-known social media platform. Their competition is catching up to them, having such a core online presence. If Disney does not make this offer, they are gonna lose out with their big competitors, and we might see a crumbling Disney company, or at the very least them being overtaken by these other companies. because I also didn't even get to mention Google, who has YouTube, but most notably Amazon, who has acquisitions of Amazon Gaming Studio, which most notably have New World and Throne and Liberty, and there's probably more games that I'm missing, but those are two core games. On top of that, they have a media film presence with Invincible, The Boys. They have a media presence, and on top of that, they have a core social media presence, having the acquisition of Twitch, meaning they have connections to Kai, even IShowSpeed, who streams on the platform, Valkyrae, Pokimane, XQC. They have big creators with big followings of their own in different sections of online media. So we are seeing these companies make big acquisitions and security to their online presence, and it's something Disney doesn't have. So EA is going to be something that they're going to have to look. It might be a big business number, but it is crucial, if you really think about it, to securing their online presence. There's no way of escaping needing an online presence. And the final thing to add it all up is, again, they have six games that are attached to their IPs, all being bought out by these three companies. We don't know what they're gonna do with these IPs should they need to remake the money that they have lost with this acquisition of EA. They could bring out microtransactions. They already do it with Madden. They already do it with Madden, FIFA, and Star Wars Old Republic. I've already made a video covering on that, which, again, I cover a lot of core news in the gaming space. I'm a new gen, big Star Wars fan from the newer generation of people that grew up watching Star Wars. 3 well-known IPs and another 3 on the way. So if anything bad were to happen, that liability, something like gambling, microtransactions, or anything be attached to Disney, would really set a bad image to the very secure parenting that parents in the US have with their kids. And taking their kids to Disneyland, they go and play games under the Disney IP, and there's gambling or things like microtransactions involved, where they could lose their own money because their kids want to get ahead in that game. So all of that to say, it is important for Disney to make this offer, and honestly important for the people at Electronic Arts to consider this offer to add security to the business. Disney, I believe, should offer a counter offer quick, because I'm gonna be honest, I truthfully believe they did not know about this offer because of how well secret it was. The earliest news we got about this was on the 26th, which was 3 days before the acquisition became official. Because if the Old Republic timeline goes, I truly believe the future of Star Wars goes with it, because they have nowhere else to go, with the Acolyte ruining the High Republic, and the Old Republic would need to then tie in the gap between the High Republic and the New Republic. And if they were to take out that middle part, we've already seen what would happen. What happened when they took out the EU. Another disrespect towards the fans with the EU, the original characters, and then lastly, taking away the Old Republic history that has been so deeply ingrained in the Star Wars franchise.
This is bad. This is very bad.
It would be the straw that broke the camel's back. And I think for those that are worried that if Disney has acquisition of EA, they have full access to change the story however they like. The reason we don't have to worry about them messing with the story is because we've already seen 3 variations of when they mess with characters. With Obi-Wan, the original trilogy, and the Acolyte. With Plagueis, they messed with Ki-Adi-Mundi, and his warning was to the Jedi Council. It was impossible for there to be Sith because there hasn't been any in a millennial.
The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Like I said, with the original characters being either killed off or put into weird circumstances where they somehow got beat out by a person who had 0 experience. So in order to not lose the future Star Wars, they're not gonna ruin the creative direction of the Old Republic and what's already been established. So yeah, anyways, with that being said, I think the acquisition of EA from Disney, in my opinion, a 95% thing something we're gonna see in the future to tell.
It's not true. That's impossible. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. No!
The deal will not be able to go through until Q3 of 2027. Anyways, with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next video, and take care, y'all. Peace. Bye.